Today's video, we're going to talk about Tom and Lenka's adventure part 2, where I'm going to share with you a lot of techniques many users are not using to make their videos better and engaging. Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Ali, and in this tutorial, we're going to dive deeper into Tom and Lenka's adventure part 2, where I'm going to show you how to get both characters dance at a nightclub in Venice and enjoy their time. But before we dive deeper into the story, I've got a quick example. So let's go ahead and watch it and then come back into creating.
Wow, isn't Venice magical at night?
Absolutely beautiful.
Let's get a little closer to the water. I want to capture the lights reflecting off the surface.
Perfect idea. How about we go to the nightclub after spending some time here?
Yes, my love, we can do that.
Look at this beautiful painting of the river. Let's take a selfie with it.
Oh yeah, let's take a selfie together.
I hope you like the example. Now it's time to have fun and enjoy creating our nightclub scene. And so before we dive deeper into the story, I've got something that I want to point out from the previous tutorial that's got to do with the camera animation. So for those of you who have watched my previous example, you will notice that we use the camera animation on the very first scene where we have it just zoom in a little bit here on the left side of the screen until the characters show up on the scene like this. And so I realized that I forgot how I did it in my actual example. So if you still have the project saved up, and I hope you do, this is what you need to do in order to change the camera frame animation from this one into another one. Of course, it is up to you if you want to keep it the way it is or change it to the new one that we're going to edit right now. So what you want to do is, if you still have the project saved up, you just got to go and open it up and then go into your project, and this is what you want to do. On the first camera animation bar, all you got to do is slide it or drag it a little bit to the right side, and then have your playhead start from the very beginning of the scene. And then all you got to do is simply drag the camera frame and resize it, make it a little bit smaller so that we have a snapshot of the sky along with the moon right there. And then when you're done, you just got to get the camera back again, and then, it will just move from the sky to where the character is going to enter the scene. So let's go ahead and watch it and have a look at it. This is how it's going to be. We can slow it down if we want, so we can just drag the camera animation bar a little bit in the timeline. Let's see how we want to do this. So let's make it 4 seconds and then go back from the beginning. Press play and take a look at that. Yep, I'm loving this so far. Awesome. Okay, great. So again, if you want to do it that way, it's totally up to you. If you don't, you want to keep it the way it is from our previous tutorial, that is absolutely fine, and it's up to you. Let's dive into creating our nightclub scene. So I'm going to delete this text, and just a quick tip for those who have not watched my previous tutorial, I'm going to link it up on the top right corner of the screen. So do me a favor, pause this video, click on the link in the top right corner to watch my previous tutorial, part 1 about this video, so you can follow along with me step by step from to create this project from start to finish. Now, for those of you who have watched it, let's not waste time and continue to work on our scene. And so I'm going to go into my media files and grab the nightclub scene that we've got right here. I will add a link to this background so you can easily download it and follow along with me step by step. So next up, once you have it ready, you just add it to the timeline right next to the scene number 1 and simply extend it in the timeline. And let's go for a 1 minute right there. And then we will start creating. So the first thing we want to do is we will add our characters and get them to dance. Then I'm going to show you how to create the light effects of the nightclub. So you can see the background is pretty simple. We are going to make it more beautiful by adding the light effects to make it look like it's a real nightclub. So let's go and open up our 3D creators, and then we grab Tom and Lenka and start working with these guys. So I'm going to go to the preset and change their outfit. Here's Tom, and then we get Lenka over there, and we want to change our outfit to, I think it was this one, but without the hat. So we're just going to go back into the customize and go to hats and then click none, and that will be it. Now, of course, you can design your characters the way you want. It's totally up to you, but now it is time for us to get these guys and enjoy their time and have fun dancing at the nightclub. So my first step is to work with Tom and change his action from idle to, let's click on Tom and then change that to dancing. We'll do the same for Lenka as well, change that to dancing. And of course, because they're going to be dancing from start to finish, then what we want to do is simply click on the dancing button that shows on the character's track to open up the small panel right there. And then we want to disable start and end. Do the same thing for Tom and click on the dancing to disable start and end. That way we're going to have them both dancing at the same time from start to finish. Now that we've got this covered, the next thing we want to do is simply extend the action for both characters and make sure they're both lined up on the background like this. Extend both actions. And then if you guys are still working on a previous project, you're going to notice that we have ended up with a zoom in on both characters while they're taking a selfie. So we want to start the new scene with a full width of our camera frame. So to do this, we're going to need to add another camera animation. So I'm going to double click to add another camera animation and simply move my playhead after the camera animation bar and go on the right panel where it says expand camera. Expand it so I can make it a full width. Next, we want to zoom in on our timeline and shrink down the camera animation bar, and then continue to zoom in on our timeline to the maximum we can get to, and also keep shrinking down the camera animation bar just to make it happen in a single frame. So the minimum you can get to, which is this one frame, like I said, and position your camera animation bar on the last frame of your scene like that. So once we hit the next scene, now you're going to see we're going to end up with a full screen, and then we can move on from there. Now let's move on and zoom out and continue to work with these guys. So next, I want to start by resizing them and make sure they're in the right perspective on the stage right there, like this. And then I'm going to do the same thing for Lenka. Resize her like this, zoom in a little bit to make sure they're in the correct size right here. And before we make any adjustments, here's what we want to do. We're going to need to apply three or two cuts so we can end up with 3 tracks of Lenka, and I'll tell you why in a second. Now, we need to move our playhead forward in time. So let's say at about 36, or let's do 37. I'm going to select Lenka and then click on the cut icon that shows above the timeline and make a cut. Then I'm going to move my playhead forward in time, let's say 50 seconds, then click on the cut icon to make sure we have another cut. Now we have 3 different tracks of Lenka. Next, we want to drag the background 1 track below so we can keep an empty track between, and simply drag the layer in between right underneath Tom's layer in the timeline. Then we want to start using our keyframes. So to do this, we're going to start from the very beginning. And let's say we want to position them, in the right order. So I'm going to click on the rotate icon for Tom and rotate him a little bit to the right, like this. Not that much, but something like that. And then position him right here. And then for Lenka, I'm going to click on a rotate icon above her, rotate her to the left side so she can be facing Tom like that. And click on the rotate icon to exit the rotation mode. And she needs to be a little bit to the right so we can see Tom's face, but still Lenka is facing him like this. And then from there, we can start creating our animation. So they're going to keep dancing from the very beginning, just, however they are right now. And let's do our animation from 34 or 35 seconds. Move our playhead forward in time like this. And then we're going to click on Lenka. right here, and then click on add animation. Properties will be position and then character view. Easing is going to be linear for both in and out. And I'm going to zoom in on the timeline a little bit. Now I need to drag the second keyframe and get it closer to the first one. Why? Because we want to make the animation happen quickly. Next, make sure that your keyframe is selected and highlighted in blue. We're then going to click on rotate icon to rotate Lenka to the left side like this a little bit, and then click on the rotate icon to exit. Then we can just drag her a little bit to the right side like that, and then go back. Let's have a look at that. Yep, that happens quickly. And then we're going to go back and have our playhead on the middle of the first keyframe on Lenka's track. Select Tom this time. We're going to click on add animation. Easing is going to be linear. Properties will be position and character view. And it is very important that we have our keyframes perfectly lined up with each other on the entire tracks until the end of the scene. So I have my second keyframe perfectly lined up right now. Make sure it is selected. Then we're going to click on the rotate icon to rotate Tom to the left side like this. And then simply click on let's make sure he's facing her like that. Click on the rotate icon again to exit the rotation mode, and simply just drag Tom and have him, show up right here. Let's have a look at that. Perfect. Okay, cool. Now the next one is going to be at the beginning of the track that we have underneath Tom right there. So let's make this happen. We have our playhead at the very beginning of the track. Then I'm simply going to start working with, let's do Lenka. All right, and I'm gonna click on the add animation. I will do position, scale, and character view. Easing is going to be linear for both in and out. And then we select the second keyframe. Actually, this is gonna be Tom. So we're gonna drag the second keyframe and also get it closer to the first one, like this here. And simply just click on the rotate icon for Tom and then rotate him to the left side so he can be facing Lenka right there. And then click on rotate to exit. Then we can scale him up a little bit and just make sure he's kind of like in the middle right here. And then for the other one, so Lenka, we're going to go back right here. Make sure that we're on the first keyframe for Tom. Select Lenka, click on add animation. Easing is going to be linear for both in and out. Properties will be position, scale, and character view. And then I'm going to drag the second keyframe and also make sure this is, perfectly lined up with the other one right there. Sometimes you may want to zoom in to see better. If you can't, make sure your keyframe is selected, and then we're going to click on the rotate icon for Lenka and rotate her a little bit like this. Click on the rotate icon again, and then scale her down because she is in the back, so she should be farther out and looking smaller. Then we can just get her farther away like that. And let's see if I want to scale her even down a little bit like this. Oops. Go back into Lenka. Maybe I'm going to use my keyboard at this point to make my movements with my arrows like that. And then I can zoom out, go forward, let's say at about 45 seconds, and then I'll make other movements. So let's select Tom and then click on add animation. And then I'm going to use position, scale, and character view. Easing is going to be linear for both in and out. Same thing, we're going to drag the second keyframe to get it really close to the first one and simply click on the rotate icon for Tom. Then we're also going to rotate him a little bit to the right side like this. And then click on rotate again to exit the rotation mode, and then scale him down a little bit so we can just position him right here. He's looking fine so far. Let's just go back. Perfect. Okay, now we want to start working with Lenka. So go back into Lenka, the one underneath Tom, and then click on add animation. Easing is going to be linear for both in and out. Properties will be position, scale, and then character view. And again, we have our keyframes. We need to drag the second keyframe, make sure it is perfectly lined up with Tom's keyframes right there. And simply just click on the rotate icon above Lenka and then rotate her a little bit so she can be facing Tom like this. Click on the rotation icon or rotate icon again. And then we want to scale her up a little bit and then grab her a little bit closer right here. Let's take a look at that. Yep, perfectly fine. Let's have a look at that so far and see what it actually looks like. All right, let's let's just make sure that keyframes are perfectly lined up right here. They need to start right on, where the track ends right there. So we don't have this problem. Let's just go back right there. And, this is going to be manipulated with the camera animation. So don't worry about that. Just keep following, and do exactly as I say until you get this done. Now, okay, everything looking good so far. Now let's go back into the second or the third track for Lenka right here. So they were just right there. Then we're going to click on the Lenka's track right there. And then we're going to click on Add Animation, Position, Scale, and then Character View. Easing is going to be linear for both in and out. And I'm simply going to drag the second keyframe and get it really close to the first one. Make sure it is selected. And then we're going to click on the rotate icon right there and then rotate Lenka so she can, face the background. And then obviously we're going to have our back facing us. Click on the rotate icon to exit that and then have her right on the middle right here. I think she looks good so far. Okay, perfect. Now let's go back into Tom and then working with him. So we're going to select Tom, click on Add Animation. Easing is going to be linear. Properties will be Position, Scale, and Character View. And same thing, we're going to drag the second keyframe, make sure this is perfectly lined up with Lenka's track right there. Okay, and then we're going to click on the rotate icon for Tom and then rotate him so he can be facing Lenka while he's dancing. Once you're done, you click on the rotate icon again, resize Tom a little bit, make him smaller, and then make sure that he is actually in front of her like this. Let's have a look at that. You might want to have them a little bit smaller, and let's have a look at that. Okay, here's how to fix this. You got to make sure that there's no gap, and then I just need to grab Lenka's track so they're perfectly lined up, and also grab both keyframes to start from the very beginning on Lenka's track, and then also grab this one and line it up with Lenka right here. All right, perfect. Cool. Next one, we move our playhead forward in time. Let's say at about 1 second right there. We're going to we'll keep selecting Tom, click on Add Animation. We'll use Position, Character View, click on Easing. Linear is our easing. Then all drag the second keyframe. Also get it closer so we can make the animation happen faster. Make sure keyframe is selected. Click on the rotate icon. Rotate Tom a little bit to the left side like this. Click and rotate again to exit. Then we can just grab Tom to the right side. All right. And then we are going to start on the first keyframe for Tom, and then select Lenka and then click on Add Animation. Easing is linear as always. Properties will be Position, Character View, and drag the second keyframe. Make sure this is perfectly lined up right here. Click on a rotate icon above Lenka. Rotate her to the left side like this so she can face Tom. Click on the rotate icon again and simply just, have her right here facing Tom while she's dancing like this. Perfect. Okay, cool. All right, let's have a look at all this together, and then we can, start working with our camera animation. But yeah, voila, we have everything covered. Now let's have fun watching this, and then we continue our tutorial. See how amazing is that? This is absolutely beautiful. Right? You can set up their dancing action for, whatever length you want. You can make this shorter, you can make it longer. It's really up to you. But as long as there is music happening in there, everything should look perfectly fine. Next, we want to select all the layers in our timeline. So background and character tracks. And simply just hit the Control G to group these up. And then right click, rename, and then call this scene number 2. Then I'm going to drag scene number 2 and butt it with scene number 1. And at the very beginning of the scene, we want to use the one-click transition to add a transition from the previous scene onto the next one. So we're going to hover between both scenes, scene 1 and 2, until we see this green button, the one-click transition. Click that, and then for the transition we're going to use is going to be the fish eye, which you can find as one of the new transitions that was added recently. Select that, and then we just have a look. All right, perfectly fine. Now it's time to start working with our camera animation. So from the very beginning, we are going to have a camera zooming in on both from a wide shot onto both characters while they're dancing. So to do this, we're gonna click on add animation right there, and simply move our playhead forward in time, after the camera animation bar. And we want to resize our camera frame like this to have a close shot on both characters. And then we're gonna need to extend the camera animation bar, right? Let's have a look. So right before they make their move here, we could just extend the camera animation. Oops, let's make sure we make it like that. And let's have a look. So we're gonna start watching from the beginning, have a look at that. Now we have a nice zoom in. And then while they're making their rotation, here's what we want to do. So we're going to drag our playhead and make sure that we add our camera animation exactly when they're about to rotate. Then I'm going to double click on the camera animation track to add another camera animation, and simply move my playhead, after. And then I want to move scale down the camera frame like this, and then just have a closer shot of both characters like that. Maybe you can drag it a little bit so they appear on the left side of our scene like this. And then we keep it that way for a little bit of time. So we're going to extend the camera animation bar. Let's see until, okay, that's when they make another move. Let's have a look. So they're currently making their move at this point. Now, instead of, zooming in, instead of extending the animation or the camera animation bar to make it really slow, we can actually make it happen fast. So we just line it up with their movement right there. Let's have a look at that and actually watch this together. Okay, we're going to zoom in right here and then make this happen quickly. Okay, so they start moving from here and then they complete their rotation right there. Now I'm going to drag the camera animation bar and shorten it like this. And then go back and take a look at that. All right. Pretty cool. All right, next up, we zoom out of our timeline and then we're going to move our playhead forward in time. So again, we want to spot on their next move when they make another rotation right here. So that's when they make another rotation. So before they actually start doing that, we're going to add another camera animation right here. So we'll double click to add another camera animation and simply zoom in and shorten the camera animation bar right up until here, so we can make it happen quickly. Let's take a look at that. Camera animation must follow their movement speed. So that's exactly what I'm doing. So it's all about, trial and error and fine tuning this until you actually make it right. Then we can just simply drag the camera animation or the camera frame on the canvas a little bit like this and make it smaller. Okay, now let's have a look and watch this and see what it looks like. Perfect. Now, when they make another movement, that's where we're going to add another camera animation. So we're going to keep moving forward until you see this is the spot where they're about to make another movement. So we're going to need to add another camera animation right here. Zoom in on our timeline and see where they make that or end up the animation. And then simply drag the camera animation bar or shorten it, shrink it down like this. And we can have another shot of these guys like that right here. Take a look. Okay, this might be a little bit faster, so let's go back. Again, it's all about fine-tuning. When do they start making the movement? And end the end. Yep, let's have a look. Okay, perfect. Let's play it. Awesome. Now let's move on with the next one. So keep moving until we see they're making another movement right here. We're going to add another camera animation right there. And then we shrink down the camera animation bar. Again, you might want to zoom in while you're doing this and simply just drag the camera frame a little bit to the left side. Make it bigger, if you will, like that. And let's have a look. All right, perfect. Then we're going to move forward again and see if they make other movements. Yep, there's one more, which is right here. So again, we want to make sure that we start this before they start the movement and line up the camera movement along with their rotation as well. Okay, next we shrink down the camera animation bar like this and simply have the camera frame like that. Let's take a look at that and watch this overall and see how it all ended up. Again, you can shorten the animation and, you know, make it shorter or longer. It's really up to you how you want to do this. But with the camera movement, you can see this is becoming more engaging. And then the final one right there. Awesome. Okay, everything looking good so far. Next, we want to start creating our nightclub light effects. So let's begin and show you the technique of creating all the light effects. And then we will use that to bring our scene more to life. So let's start by creating the glowing lights around the stage. And the first thing we want to do is we want to double click the group to get inside the scene so we can create everything inside. And so we don't miss the transitions and all of that. Next, we want to grab a circle. So I'm going to hit the shift key along with the letter C to grab a circle. And then I'm going to change its color. So open up my color settings. And for this one, we're going to make it a radial color. So you can see there are 3 squares at the top of the panel right next to the fill color. We're going to choose the third one to make it a radial color. And we do have 2 colors right now. So the first circle, we're going to change the color to black right here. And then I'm going to make it transparent. So I'm going to drag this slider on the third one right here to make it a transparent like this. And then I'm going to click on the second circle right there so I can change this color to something else. Maybe we can go with this pink right here. So we got that covered. Now we're going to resize this right there. And we could just make it smaller. And we're going to have, you know, a lot of duplicates of those. So first of all, we're going to extend the layer and the timeline, make sure it is perfectly lined up. And then I'm going to make a few duplicates. So you can make as many as you want. And of course, change their colors, make them pink, purple, blue, white. I mean, it's really up to you how you want to do this. Just, you know, scatter them around in your scene however you want, like that. And again, you can change their colors and positions and just have some randomness to where they are in your scene like that. And we could just bring another one right here, maybe one right there, and we're good to go. Again, we can change their color. So you can, you know, change their color to any color like I said. So let's say we can go with the purple one for this one right here. We could do the same thing for this one and also make it purple. So select the second circle and change the color to the purple one right there. And maybe you can also do the same thing for this one right here. Click on the second circle for the color to change it to purple right there. And then maybe I want to do this for this one as well. Again, it's really up to you how you want to play with the colors. So just play with them the way you want. Now we have a few layers of all those circles. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to apply a blinking, or let's do a scale up and down. So I'm going to go to motion for the first circle right here. Click on motion, and then I'm going to go to loop, and then I'm going to do scale. Then I'll choose in and out. And for the in and out, I'm going to extend the animation button on the timeline all the way until the end, like that. And then I want to increase the number of loops. So let's go with 10 times and then have a look at that. Okay, now this is scaling up really much. So we're going to go back into the preset settings and then change the zoom in, and let's do 4, for example, and see how that looks like. Okay, I think we can also make it smaller. So we can go with 3 instead, and then go back and take a look. All right, perfect. So now we need to apply the same animation on all the other glowing lights. So in order to do that, and the easiest way is you can simply copy the preset motion and then apply it on all layers. So I'm going to extend the timeline right here, and then I'm going to select my first layer. Simply just click on the animation button, hit the Control or Command C to copy the animation, and then simply just select all the other layers that don't have the animation applied or the loop animation, and hit the Control or Command V to apply the same animation. So when we go back and then press play, they'll all be, scaling up and down. Now, if you want to have some randomness, you can simply just change their number of loops. So first, let's say, for example, the second one could be, instead of 10, we can go for, 14. Third one, we'll keep it the way it is. Fourth one, we can go for 8. Again, you can go, random, however you want. So we're going to go 15, and then we're going to do this one, 14, and then again. So I'm just passing by, so leaving one as is, and then going with the rest. So let's just have a look at that. Resize my timeline and take a look at that. All right, pretty cool. We have some randomness in there, so we are all good. Next, we want to select all these layers, or first of all, let's just let's apply some other animation for this one. So I'm gonna hit Control G to group this up. I'll do the same for all the glowing lights, and I'll tell you why in a second. Let's just go and click on each one and then group it by itself by hitting the Control G for each one. And then we're going to apply another loop animation. So they're already, scaling up and down, but we want them to fade in. So we're going to have them, blink in actually. So I'm going to click the first one, go to motion, and then I'm going to go to loop, and then I'll choose fade. Then I'll do blinking right there. Then I can increase the number of loops. Let's say we go for 10 as well. And then we can also expand the animation button or the blink animation button on the layer all the way until the end. Then Control or Command C to copy it, and simply select all other layers, Control or Command V to paste all the animations right there. And again, if you want to have some randomness as to when do they, blink, you can always go back into each one and then adjust the number of loops. So you can, go with anywhere from 9 loops up until 16 loops. Really, depends on how you want to do it. But that's how you can apply random loop animation for all the layers like that. All right, let's just go back and have a play. Pretty cool. All right, we got that covered. Now we want to select all these layers, and then we're going to hit the Control G to, let's just select all of them. Okay, it's not. All right, and then group them up. Now, the next one we're going to do is we're going to apply another light effect, which is going to be the spotlight, but are going to be a little bit blurred out. So how do we do this? We simply grab a triangle by hitting the Shift key with the letter G to grab a triangle. And then I'm going to rotate it a little bit to the left, and I'm going to shrink it down like this. And then I'm going to zoom out. Then I want to make it really tall like that. And I can just position it right here like this. And I'm going to change this color from blue to any color. Again, you can do this however you want. Make it white, make it blue, purple, pink. I mean, it's really up to you how you want to play with these spotlights, because at the end of the day, these are colors, right? So, and it's up to you how you want to do it. So I'm going to change the colors from the blue to, let's do this kind of, purplish pink like that. And I'm going to extend the triangle layer in the timeline all the way until the end like this. And the next thing I want to do is I want to go into my effects and components tab, and then simply grab the blur effect and drop it onto the triangle. And for the strength, I'm going to increase that to something like this. So say 343 degrees or percent, whatever it is, strength like this. And then I can make a duplicate of it. So I'm going to hit Control or Command D to make a duplicate. Then I could just drag this one over, something like this, and maybe rotate it a little bit like that. And then I want to have another 2. So I'm going to make another duplicate and then rotate this one to be on like this angle right here, like that. Make another duplicate, and I just grab this one, over here like this. And then now, again, like I said, if you want to change their color, so you can do that, however you want. So let's do this for this one. Maybe also change this one like this, right? Pretty cool. All right, next we want to create animations for all of those. So first of all, I'm going to select the first triangle, And then here's what we want to do. We want to go under settings where it says anchor point, and then I'm going to change the anchor point, select that. Then you're going to have, a rounded arrow that shows up on the triangle right there. So all you got to do is simply drag that, on the triangle and have it start from the top on the center top right there. We'll do the same thing for the other triangles. So click on the anchor point and also grab them to the center of the triangle to the bottom right there. Go to the next one, anchor point, and then also do the same, grab it. You should have also made this, on the first triangle before you made a duplicate, so that you can end up with all anchor points, however you want. Now, once you do that, this is what we want to do next. We're going to select our first triangle and we're going to apply some preset motion. So we're going to go to motion and then we're going to apply loop, and then I'll go on to rotate. Then I'll click on swing like this, make sure it is applied, and then I can, have a look at that. So first of all, we're going to extend the animation button on the layer across until the end like that. And let's have a look. So this is how the swing animation looks like. Now I'm going to go back into my preset settings so I can change the number of loops and make it loop for, let's say, 11 times, and then have a look at that. Okay, now you can see, it's swinging, but there's so much, movement in there. So we want to decrease that a little bit by going back into the preset settings, play with the rotation, and then decrease that to, let's say, 6%. And then we can have a look at that, go back, press play. Yep, perfect. So all we got to do is simply just copy this animation and paste it onto the other 3 triangles. So we're going to hit the Control or Command C to copy it and select all other triangles. Paste like this, and so we can have all the animations applied like that. Again, if you want to have some randomness, you can change the the rotation power. So let's say this one is going to be 8, and then we do the other one as well. We could do 12, and let's have a look at that. So we can have some randomness in the movements of the lights over there. Pretty cool. All right, so let's go back into the main timeline and then have a look at that and see how it looks like. There you go. You have a nice transition with all these lights playing right there. This is so much fun. Now, if you don't want so much, light glowing or glowing lights on the characters like this, you can go back and then reduce their opacity if you want. So you can simply just click on one of them right there and then go back into the settings and then reduce its opacity, a little bit so that we can see the characters. So we can just go with this one as well. Settings, and then reduce opacity a little bit right here. Let's take a look at that. Okay, cool. Go back in the main timeline and then keep watching and have a look at that. Awesome. This is so much beautiful. So with all these techniques and beautiful animations, we can bring our scene to life and engage with our audience and really impress them, because that's the ultimate goal of creating videos, is to engage with our audience. Now, I hope you like this video. Again, if you haven't watched the previous tutorial, go ahead and watch it so you can learn how to get Tom and Lenka enjoy their adventure in Venice at the river, and then continue to watch this one so you can learn how to get both to dance together and really bring the whole scene to life. Like I said, I'm going to keep a link to the background in the description. And maybe last thing we want to do is we can apply a zoom out to go back into a full width. So we can simply just towards the end of the scene, double click to add another camera animation, and then move our playhead after like this, and then click on the expand camera to go full width. And, we could just extend it a little bit to make it slower like that, and then go back, take a look. Now we're going to have a zoom out to a full width like this. And, you can add an ending scene with a text or so, or something like that. But yeah, I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.